needed to be protected, and identifying any risk. My name is Courtney Preston. This is also Aaron Brunson. He may be saying a few things as far as employee benefits, things like that. Of course, when you have employees, you want to make sure they're taken care of. If you got a few words to say, Aaron, about the employee benefits?
He's going to force me to speak. Good afternoon, everybody. This is more tended towards property and casualty, but if you do have employees and employee benefits, I would be more than happy to have that discussion. Typically, when companies have more than 50 employees, they are mandated by the federal government to offer medical insurance, and with that becomes other types of insurance, medical, dental, vision, life, disability, things of that nature. They can get voluntary benefits such as critical illness, cancer, riders, and things of that nature. Prior to that, companies lower than 50 employees, they typically offer it for an attraction and retention standpoint. So if you have high value employees that you want to attract and retain to your company, offering benefits such as medical insurance and things of that nature is a great tool. However, it does come at a price tag, $10,000 plus per employee for medical specifically. However, you can offer like a life and disability plan as well at a much cheaper price tag, right? So it just depends on you, your company, and what you're trying to offer to retain, attract and retain your employees. And with that, I will hand it back over to Courtney. If you have any other employee benefits questions, I'm more than happy to answer it.
All right, Aaron is the man for that. And I am the person for property and casualty insurance. How many of y'all are starting or have your own business right now? All right. And do you have insurance concerns? Yes, she has raised her hand again. So let's talk about it. Let's identify some risks. Let's understand your risk, understand what might cause some things to be a loss for you, insurance fundamentals, and then let's talk about building a strategy to help you with your insurance. So let's go to understanding business risk, of course. What is business risk? Of course, it's somebody that's hurt themselves in your facility or hurt themselves because of your product. It could be one of your own employees getting hurt, slipping on something, falling off a forklift, things like that. A vehicle accident, if they're doing deliveries, they might crash into somebody or somebody might crash into them. Equipment being stolen. This is very common for the new, after COVID, everybody was remote working from home, they would quit and they wouldn't send the equipment back, so that's typically stolen. Yeah. Client filing a lawsuit. The client is not happy with your services. Client is not happy that you took an automatic pay out of their account. They might file a lawsuit. A lot of times in insurance, we have people that file lawsuits because they're not happy with the results of their claim. Key employee leaving, you got to cover for that because now you got to start from scratch. Somebody, you got to come in, you got to train them, things like that. Storm damage, of course, we're in the hurricane capital of the world, so storms could mess up your income, interrupt your income coming in. Computer systems being hacked. This is a big one, big cyber thing. Somebody says, hey, you don't pay me $10,000, we're going to go ahead and wipe out all the equipment and we're going to send all your customer stuff over to, the biggest bidder. And this one's very important about computer systems being hacked because did you know that if somebody hacks into your systems and steals your customer's equipment or your customer's personal info, your customer's going to sue you.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to find, or more than likely won't be able to find the person that attacked your system, but they're going to sue you, and you're going to be responsible for it. So you're going to be responsible also for getting the best cyber insurance and cyber security. And of course, vendor failing to deliver, we all get that. Sometimes you ever walk outside and your package is at the other person's house, and you're like, oh, hey, or got their package, and you're like, oh, hey, it's yours.
Yeah.
I don't understand Porsche pirates. I mean, you steal something that's like a book of encyclopedias. It's like, you don't know what you're stealing.
It's a free dollar to them.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. So here's the specific types of business risk: operational, property, liability, people, cyber and tech, financial, and reputational. Let's start with operational. Equipment breakdowns. A lot of people have vending machines. They have it as a business, but it might break down. You might have, that's going to be supply delays. There's going to be failures. That's going to be money that is going to be delayed. So that is a type of loss for your business. Property. Of course, a fire, a storm. We got both here. We got a fire and a flood. So it's like double whammy on that, right? Liability. Somebody falls and hurts themselves. This always happens, you know, my neck and my back, you know, yeah, sure. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're just trying to get a quick buck. Your own employees, hurt themselves for whatever reason. We don't even know why. All of a sudden he's just hurting. So your own employees may say that. Or they might say something about harassment or, you know, like I said again before, a key person in your staff, you know, wants to go somewhere else and they end up leaving. So that's kind of a loss because now you got to make up for that. Cyber and tech, of course, like I said, cyber attacks are very common. You've heard it about Target, you've heard it about airlines. They're coming, so you want to make sure you have the right cybersecurity. So cyber insurance is very important. Stolen data, hacked accounts, and also your employees. They might do really stupid stuff. They might think that they'll get an email from the boss, and they're like, okay, let me respond. Let me just put in my information, and it's a hacker. And financial, unpaid invoices, cash flow. People saying they're gonna pay you know, net 30, net 90, net 160, net 3 years. It's ridiculous. So this is another way financially that you can suffer from a loss. And then of course reputational, and this is one of the big ones too. Mm-hmm. And once somebody says, oh, we saw some rats running around in this store, you know, it's like, oh, nobody wants to go there now. You know this guy, Jeff Wines here, he does Dirty Dining. I don't know if you guys know him. Mm-hmm. He's on the news, and he goes to a place, he's like, you got 17,000 roaches and something. Who's gonna want to go there now? Nobody. So that's another way of losing business. So going deeper into that, we have your internal risk, your poor employee training, your weak financial controls, bad record keeping, that's always a big thing. Inadequate safety procedures, you have to train your people every year on cyber, harassment. I think there's a few other HR things you have to train them every year because it may change every year. Lack of contracts, you know, all that handshaking stuff, that's in the 70s. We need to put it in writing, put it on paper, put it in email, so we can have that backed up just in case they say, oh, I didn't mean that. Failure to back up data, that's a big one too. You know, your systems go down, there's a storm, everything gets shut out, there's no power. You don't back up that data is gone. So all those customers, all those contracts, that information is gone. So that's all internal. External, of course, hurricane, natural disasters, economic downturns. You know, I don't know if some of you remember back in the early 2000s, there was a mortgage downfall where a lot of mortgages were going out. Change in laws, of course. You know, right now we're dealing with the government. There's always a change here and there. Some people are for the property tax, some people are against the property tax. You know, you never know. Supply chain disruptions, of course, cyber crime attacks, lawsuits. So these are things that you have to be prepared for in order to continue with your business, continue with your business income. Every entrepreneur, every business owner should ask these questions. What could stop my business from operating? What could cause me to be sued? What property could I not afford to replace? What happens if I can't work for 30 days? What if an employee or customer is injured? What if a customer's information is stored and is lost? So you definitely want to make sure you have that stored and backed up. Do you use your own personal vehicle or do you buy a vehicle for your business? Now, using your own personal vehicle, sometimes in the contract with the policy, with the actual carrier, they'll say, don't use your vehicle for Uber or don't use your vehicle for delivery, and you do it and an accident happens, you think you're gonna go to Progressive and say, hey, I got an accident. Well, they're gonna say, how? Well, I was dropping off Instacart. Okay, that's not covered. So now you're gonna have to pay for that or you're gonna have to lose that car. Do you depend heavily on one customer or vendor? Now, this is very important because this makes the difference between a few bucks and a lot of money. From okay to good and good to grand. Now, let's say you have a laundromat. You know, people come, they wash clothes, they put their quarters in, they wash, or they get the card. Now, that's just, you know, that's some income, that's great. But what's even greater, if you have the right insurance, is you get a contractor like Aramark, like UPS, and they say, we want you to wash 500,000 of our uniforms every week. Now, that's big bang. But they're not going to do that if you don't have the right insurance. They're going to say, nah, you're too small time. So, you know, big bucks mean big risk. How much can my business lose from one incident? It's true. Like I said, Dirty Dining. Those places he's gone to, the Jeff Weiser guy said, they got roaches and rats. I'm not going there. I don't know if y'all are. I mean, sure, it might be a food discount now, but not for me. Yeah, so So you got your frequent risk, you got your devastating risk, you got your blind spots that you didn't even know were coming. So let's start going into insurance fundamentals. Before I go to section 2, does anybody have any questions? We'll stop right now to answer any questions.
You said frequent risk and
Yes.
blind spots?
Right. So let's talk about that, frequent risk. Like,
Yeah.
when you have foot traffic, you have a store, people come into your store, of course you want to keep your store clean, so that might cause the floor to be slippery because you mopped the floor. That's a frequent risk that if you don't have the right signage,
Yeah.
even though they will still slip and fall, when you get to court, the court will say, okay, well you did have the right signage, so this is not the fault of you because
Right.
they should have paid attention to the sign.
Mm.
Yeah, same thing as a blind spot risk. You have I've been in stores before where they might have a shelf that has a sharp edge on it, and you walk past and it cuts your clothes or it cuts you. That's a blind spot risk. You didn't even, the owner didn't know it was there, but sure enough, the person got cut. Now they want to sue. They want to say they got tetanus or whatever. So that's definitely a blind spot.
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just more for the group. What companies are we dealing with out here from entrepreneurs' standpoint, so we can potentially tailor some of the content to them? Anybody want to share what type of company they have?
I have a professional services company. I do strategic branding, business development, and government contracting proposals.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone?
I have eventually I do styling consulting and branding into online with an app.
Okay.
All right. So both of you all have businesses that have a risk of E&O, errors and omissions. They will say, you're the expert, you told me to do this, I did it, it didn't work, I want to sue you because I believed you as an expert. Professional liability. So it's still a little different than general liability. It's professional because they relied on you to be the professional in your business, and now you professionally, quote unquote, gave them the wrong advice. So that's a big one. Also cyber, when you're dealing with being online and setting up people's online, if they have a website you're setting them up with or anything like that, they may want to opt for the cheaper package and say, nah, I don't need all that, I don't need the security, and then something happens. And again, not only is it a cyber attack, but it goes back to professional, oh, you didn't push me to get this. A lot of times, what I've been seeing a lot of times what we do now is we just have people sign the document. Okay, I offered you professional liability, I offered you this coverage, you declined it, you signed here, so that way when we get in court, I can show them, hey, you signed and said you didn't want that coverage because of course you were looking for the cheaper premium, but it doesn't help you when things happen. Any other questions? Any other businesses? Any other potential businesses? Yes.
Sustainability consulting and energy assessments for buildings.
Okay, so are you talking about infrastructure as far as building and things
Building
like that?
infrastructure.
Okay, so you might be looking for government contracts, things like that? Yeah, okay. So again, government contracts, we do that as well with Top Line Insurance. So we help you go and get the bid. We might provide you with a quote, because you won't actually have the coverage, but just showing that you have looked into it to the procurement, like Talia said, will give you the edge on getting that contract.
Okay.
Yeah, but you still have a risk with that, of course, because you're hiring contractors or subcontractors, and go ahead.
So so basically you can just go in with a quote, like if you were to go into like a government contracting, because a lot of them ask for insurance,
Right.
but if you don't have the particular insurance that they're asking for, the quote will satisfy that in the meantime until you can get it.
Well, what happens with the quote is you're letting them know that you're serious about getting that contract. So you show them, okay, I've been looking around, because you're going to make a guesstimate. You're not going to know for sure until they tell you what they want. But the quote, from what I've seen from helping people get contracts, at least lets them know you're more serious than the rest of the people who don't have any quote at all.
Okay.
So it's easy for you to go in with a quote of $500,000 coverage, and they say, okay, we need you to get $750,000. They're more comfortable with you because you already came with $500,000, as opposed to a guy that just says, oh, where do I start? It's like, okay. Yeah. Let's see what we got next here. So, there's some misconceptions or conceptions that nobody actually knows. Legal defense and settlements. Insurance helps you pay for that. When somebody sues you and the insurance also feels that you shouldn't pay, they're going to fight it tooth and nail. They're going to fight the Morgan & Morgans and the Steinberg Green Finders and all that. They're going to fight them. They got lawyers too. So a lot of people don't know that. You get a defense team for somebody suing you for something they feel you didn't do. Now, if you were negligent, you left something out, somebody slipped on the sidewalk that's in your place, that's different. But if they feel like it's the same thing, they feel like you shouldn't be paying it, they're gonna fight it. Medical expenses, insurance can help you pay for that because if somebody hurts themselves immediately, you wanna give them medical expenses, whether they're in the right or wrong, you wanna make sure that they get set with the medical expenses because you don't want them coming back later and saying, I didn't get the doctor's appointment I needed 6 months ago and now I'm even worse. Property repairs, obviously, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Some damage to your roof, your business, or even if you have a business at home, the insurance can help you pay for that to get fixed or cover it themselves. Equipment replacement, same thing. Lost business income, that's another big one. Loss of revenue. So you had a hurricane that hit your business in February, you didn't get back going into June. That's a loss of income for those months. So insurance can help you recover that loss of income. So that way you can continue with your business and not, your pockets won't get hit as bad. And of course, cyber recovery. If anything happens, you might need some new equipment. You might need to throw out all that old equipment because it's all hacked and messed up. So they might help you with the cyber recovery. Because every policy has coverage limits, deductibles, exclusions, conditions, endorsements, and reporting requirements. Anybody have any questions about those? So you got coverage limits, deductibles is what you have to pay or what they will minus. Remember, it's two ways it goes. So it's not necessarily you got to pay a $5,000 deductible. They're just going to take it out of what they're going to pay you. The exclusions, of course, we know that. You don't want to. They're going to have exclusions in there. They're not going to cover everything. They're not going to cover certain acts and things like that. Conditions, same thing. Let me open that. Endorsements, you can add on endorsements sometimes to your policies. You might have a house with that you're covering a pool, but it doesn't cover the screen enclosure. You can add that. Same thing with business. You can add extra endorsements to help with that. And reporting requirements. Something happens, you need to report it immediately. Somebody breaks into your business, you need to report that. You don't want 6 months to go down the line and say, oh yeah, this guy broke in, but we fixed it. And they're like, well, what's the proof? How do we know they broke in? Well, I don't know, we already fixed it. Okay, well, that's not gonna be paid. So let's go over some of the, most of the main coverages for businesses. General liability, of course, somebody hurts themselves, or you damage some other property, or advertising injury. You said something about, you're Burger King, you said McDonald's sucks, McDonald's wants to sue you. Yeah, they will, and they'll sue you. Legal defense expenses, of course, for, like I said, for defense. Commercial property, your buildings, your furniture, your deliveries, your equipment, your computers. A lot of these textile plants, they have these big, huge machines that spit out their product. That goes down, that's the loss of income. You got tools and inventory, and you got signs and business property. So your sign goes up, it gets knocked down, you gotta have coverage for that. Any questions? All right. Business owner's policy is usually for auto. If you have a fleet of trucks or a fleet of cars, it combines the liability, property, and the business interruption in one policy. Business interruption, we just talked about that. If your income gets interrupted or your payroll gets interrupted because of some kind of loss. Workers' compensation, another big one. Somebody hurts themselves on the job, and they can't work for 6-7 months. Workers' compensation is going to need to come in for that. Again, just because you don't have workers' compensation does not mean you are not required to compensate that person. Because if they sue you and say, well, they didn't pay me, they just told me to go home, they might get way more than what you would have paid. Commercial auto, I kind of just talked about that. If you have a fleet of vehicles, you have a fleet of cars that do your deliveries or moving trucks, things like that. You have a question?
Yeah, on the workman's comp, as a small business, I know the state of Florida said you're not required to carry it if you only have less than 4 people in your company, right?
Right.
What would you do, or is it something that needs to be kept? Would you advise to get it anyway if you were to try and go out for grants or something and they're requiring workman's comp, even though they don't care about the number of people in the business?
As an insurance agent, I would say always get it, because guess what Florida is? Florida is a state.
The fraud.
International
Yeah.
fraud capital.
Uh-huh.
International fraud.
Oh, international.
It's an at-will state.
Yeah, at will.
Okay.
And you could be sued for anything. If you get a lawyer that believes the story good enough, he can sue. They can sue you for anything. They'll say, "Oh, well, I was supposed to have workers' comp, but but they didn't give it to me." They can file a lawsuit. And of course, you remember, you're talking about a big corporation like yours, or even not even big, a small business like yours, versus poor old Aunt Mary who hurt herself, in your kitchen. The juries are more than likely going to side with the person that got hurt. That's just how it is. You got a question? Again, professional liability. We talked about that a little bit. Let's go into that some more.
Yeah.
Again, you're the professional. I'm a professional insurance agent. I'm a licensed agent. So if I tell you, you don't need that coverage. Nah, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Storm hits your house, blows away your garage. I told you didn't need it. You might even have me recorded or have me on an email saying you didn't need it. You can sue me, and that's an errors and omissions type of a lawsuit. I made an error or I omitted certain information, so it goes into my professional liability. Failure to perform. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get you a new roof. Give me $5,000. I'm gonna get started. Next week you don't see me. Next week you see me on Facebook. I'm in Maui or I'm in Jamaica with your money, of course. Right. Well, yeah. Well, I'm at the casino. That always happens. Missed deadlines, kind of the same thing I just talked about. I told you I was gonna have your house done by December, and it's now April of 2027, and we're still putting the first couple of bricks down. That's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And financial loss to a client. You're saying you're gonna deliver 50,000 tires to my store so I can sell them, and you don't deliver, that's a financial loss to me because everybody was waiting on me. Now I gotta pay them back, they want refunds, all that kind of stuff. Cyber liability, we talked about that. Let's talk about that again. Legal support. You're gonna need legal support because obviously ransomware or spyware gets you, and then people are gonna want to sue because they had their information in your systems. Those little swipe machines, or you put the thing on your phone now, you can swipe your card, or you tap your phone. Credit monitoring and data recovery, that's another one. Credit monitoring, somebody can hack into your credit and add some stuff to it, or they can hack into it and use it.
Or both.
It was a story, my brother, let me tell you a funny story. Me and my mom came home, this was years ago. When you had the answering machine, you push the button and it speaks loud. And the answering machine's like, we have a very important message for Karima Preston. Karima Preston, please call us back. Karima Preston, please call us back. It was obviously a bill collector, and Karima Preston was 2 years old. So, yeah. So obviously her information was used to get a bill.
Yeah.
And now she owes money and she's 2 years old at the time.
Wow.
So cyber extortion, again, you don't pay us $20,000, we're gonna leak all your information out to the biggest bidder. We're gonna all your customers' credit cards and addresses, socials gonna be leaked out. Yes, go ahead.
When you say social, you mean social security or social media?
What do you mean as far as what? Social security.
Okay.
So like credit monitoring. So, if I take your number and I get a phone in your name and you don't know about it, I just stole your credit. So that's all part of cyber because I could have got that off of a whatever website you went on or a POS machine or a credit card machine, I could have got it like that.
But what about if somebody hacks my Instagram? Would it cover that to get it back if the person is extorting me for money?
To a degree, if they're extorting you, what are they saying they're gonna do if you don't give them the money?
Delete my account, which is attached to my business.
Yeah, that could be. That's I can't answer that for sure. That could be something. If it's gonna interrupt your business, obviously you want to be covered for
I
that.
have 16,000 followers, and I that's my main source of
Yeah.
getting clients and customers.
Well, it's still a cyber attack regardless, so you're still covered for cyber. Cyber liability is covering you for any cyber attack, anything they can hack into and use without your consent, whether it's pictures, videos, whatever. It's the cyber attack, so that's covered under cyber liability.
Okay.
But just so you know, Instagram's not giving it back to you. Instagram never gives.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm asking. I'm more so asking to see, is that a way around Instagram not being responsive when your account does get hacked?
Well, what
Is that
happens
something
is,
that they can do?
yeah, when your account gets hacked and you want to file a claim to say, hey, my account got hacked, I lost $10,000 based on this time frame, or I'm losing money constantly, your insurance providing the coverage should pay for that. It wouldn't be Instagram. Now, maybe your insurance later on will go after Instagram, but that'll be between them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Subrogation. Yeah.
See?
Lawyer up.
Right. Yeah, it's called subrogation. They'll pay you, they get you out of the way, and then they go after Instagram because now they're gonna fight it out with them. They're not gonna make you continue to suffer just because it was Instagram's fault. So employment practices liability, discrimination, wrongful termination. Everybody's always talking wrongful termination. Oh, I'm stressed out because I can't take 10 phone calls a day. I gotta take 2 and then take a 30-minute break. Or else I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna, harassment, of course, we already know about that. You can't say this, you can't say that. You can't say nothing. Just don't say anything. Just don't say nothing. Stuff that we were able to say back in the 80s, boy.
No, you can't say.
Oh, no, not at all. Commercial umbrella. So after you have coverage, you can also add more coverage to your coverage. So that way, because remember, you're still responsible. If somebody sues you for $1 million and the judge says you got to pay $1 million, and your coverage is only $500,000, you still got to pay the other $500,000. And they don't care how they get it. They don't care if you pay $25 a month out of your paycheck. They don't care. They'll put you right on it. I don't know if anybody's familiar with garnishments, but
Oh yeah.
you thought you was gonna go on that trip and you looked at your check and $52.
Not there.
Yeah. Capital One. So, yeah. Product liability, of course, your manufacturers, your distributors, your sellers. Of course, if your products are going overseas, that's inland marine. If you're in the air or in the ground, or you're in the sea, that's an inland marine policy. That's product liability. You want to make sure that's covered while it's being traveling. Crime and employee dishonesty, like going back to what I said. Somebody quits the job, they got the laptop, they got the 2 screens. You send them the postage to send it back, and they're like, I'm not gonna do that. They just log into it forever. And I think, what was it? It was a case of, there was a case where a guy had the employee computer, and he was using it for 6 months, and finally the employer caught up with him and put a lock on it. And so he called them and said, hey, I got a lot of stuff in this laptop. Can you unlock it for me? Like, no, we should have had that back.
True story.
What are you, crazy? Yeah. But it happens. Common insurance misconceptions, of course. My LLC protects me from everything. LLC helps legally, but a lawsuit, like I said, everybody can sue in Florida. The lawsuit still creates legal expense, losses, and lost time because you have to answer to that lawsuit. My landlord's insurance covers my business. No. Landlords insure the building, not your inventory. They might insure the wall, but they're not going to insure these computers, these desks, things like that. They're not insuring that. That's you. A contract protects me from being sued. Contracts reduce the risk, but everybody can say, I don't know, I thought it was this on the contract. Contracts are not set in stone, no matter how much you think they are. When you get in front of a judge, you get in front of a jury, and it's you and your business versus Uncle Melvin that's 78 years old. It's just a matter of how you feel. Juries are gonna side with that. Don't think that it's just black and white. It's never that. That's why you see on the news, you see it in courts. When people got to go to the court, they come in a walker. Oh yeah, or they got glasses and they got a suit on. But when you saw them out here, you didn't see none of that. But they're doing all that to play on the sympathy. I don't have employees, so I don't need insurance. That's not true. You still need insurance, even if it's just yourself. Cheapest policy is the best policy. That is not always true because when the loss happens, you're going to wish you had more. And you're going to wish you had certain things covered. And they're not going to be covered. And how are they going to be covered? Out of your pocket. But that's enough of the negative. Let's get to the positive. Building a risk management strategy. Now, what you want to do to identify all the risks is you want to check your daily operations. You want to make sure your employees are qualified and trained and they care. How many times have you been somewhere and they say, you call them and hello? Is this Lens Optical? Yeah? What are you saying hello for? Where's the thank you for calling this up? You know?
Yeah.
Business property, vehicles, you know, people delivering, technology. You want to make sure you have all the greatest cyber technology. You want to make sure you have a team of IT that can make sure that you're not going to get hacked as best they can. I mean, there's no 100% guarantee. Products, contracts and vendors, locations, finances, reputation, professional services. You gotta ask yourself, what can go wrong? Who can get injured? Got a forklift driving around, you gotta make sure they have some kind of forklift certification. Otherwise they fall off it and now they wanna sue. What could be damaged or stolen? How many times back in the day did somebody work at Kmart or Walmart and that back door would open and there's a bunch of TVs and stuff going out? What mistake could lead to a lawsuit? Very important. What could you do or what might happen that might lead to somebody suing you? And what could stop the business from operating? Plenty of things. How likely is the risk to happen? Low, moderate, high. Severity, how financially damaging would it be if something happened? You always want to avoid, reduce, transfer, and accept. See, I've been an agent for about 10 years in Florida, state of Florida. And I've seen it all. I've seen all kind of risks from auto, home, floods, business, commercial. So I've seen it all. You always want to prepare for the worst. You want to reduce the risk as best you can. You want to transfer it, which is why you have an insurance company, because now they also accept the risk. But again, you got to remember, once that insurance company is on there, they're going to be like your big brother. They're going to say, hey, you got this old abandoned car in your backyard. Get that out of here, because some kid might get in there and get stuck in there and lose his life or something. Your pool, there's no gate around the pool. Some kid might go fall in the pool. They're going to tell you that, and if you don't want to do that, then they're going to cancel you. So they're going to be your insurance, but they're also going to be looking after what they're insuring as well. Accept some of the small business losses. Don't be the person that's filing 3 and 4 claims. Nobody's going to really, no carrier, no company's going to really want you if every 5 minutes you're filing a claim. I'm not supposed to say that because I'm supposed to say, if you want to file a claim, just file a claim. But come on.
That's true.
You know, your sink broke or whatever, it costs you $100. You don't want your insurance company knowing that, because now it's like, what are you doing? You know, you got corrosion on your sink, you open up a lot of doors for that. So you want to build multiple layers of protection. You want to have the right insurance, you want to have the right contracts, you want to have the proper licensing or the proper staff with the licensing. You want your employees to be trained. You want to have a safety procedures book. They used to have a big OSHA book that used to be in every break room, or they have the big wall with all the employee stuff. Cybersecurity and backups, financial reserves. You don't want to go on anything where you can risk being flat broke. You always want to have some kind of capital behind it. Vendor screening. You don't want to hire anybody. You don't want to be part of any group where you don't know what kind of things they do, because they might have a certain reputation. You might find out that they're the Ku Klux Klan leader or something. I don't know. It's happened though.
It's happened, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
You want to have an emergency plan for evacuation, an emergency plan for data backup, accurate record keeping. Because again, like I said, you want to go from okay to good, good to great, and great to grand. You want to get those big contracts. You all are, like you said you were in imaging and things like that. You said you were a consultant. You want to get a contract with a big, huge firm or big corporation, as opposed to 1 or 2 guys. Of course, you're going to take the 1 or 2 guys too. No, not saying turn away any money. Your business risk checklist, top 5 business risks. Your current insurance policies, always have those on hand. Nowadays, you can put it in your phone or in your laptop. Your policy limits and deductibles. You always want to go over that with your agent. I'm the kind of agent that I go over all of that with you so you understand, and I don't give you a bunch of company jargon terms like, oh, the OCI and the FCU, and you're like, what? Emergency contacts, you want to always have that on hand in case something happens. A lot of times you don't update your information, and then when there's a claim filed and your phone's not on, we can't call you, we can't email you because you got your old email from yahoo.com or Excite or something. Important vendors, you want to make sure your vendors are licensed and insured. You want to have good backup procedures, good safety procedures, good contracts, and good wording in your contracts. And you want to do an annual review every year. Just because your insurance was this first year was $10,000, maybe you've added on. Maybe you need to expand or do some kind of inventory. You got a question? Question? Oh, I saw your hand. No. All right, so let's get into insurance as a growth strategy. Again, you build credibility the more insurance and coverage you have. So now instead of just those 3 people that come wash their clothes at your laundromat and give you $10 a day, now you got a contract with UPS or Aramark, big 500,000 uniforms. So now you're getting bigger contracts. You're protecting your cash flow. Remember about marketing. Protect your cash flow. Get on marketing. Marketing is part of insurance too, because take the word insurance, it's with an I, but you also can take it with an E, insure, because you want to insure your marketing. You want to make sure that you're getting your product out there to everybody. You want to even have an insurance agent that might have a few things to say about that, or a financial person. You know, a lot of the marketers now just want you to buy a website and you know, use it to put your name and numbers in, but you really want to get out there. I do a radio show where we talk to different businesses every Thursday at 9 o'clock, so we market you because we want to not only insure your property and your liability, we want to insure your business income. Confident expansion goes back again. Safety net brings hiring, leasing, new markets. People see you hiring, people see good people that are with you. They want to do business with you. You know, you have Amanda, quote unquote, that's been with you for 10 years and everybody knows her, that's great. If every other month they hear some new name, it's like, what's going on over there? We don't know. You want to protect the customer experience, and you want to have speedy recovery when things go down, when there's an interruption. You don't want to be out of business for 6 months because you didn't pay for certain insurance and they didn't cover anything. So company A here has no insurance in place. They present more risk to the building owner and it's passed over. So that building owner, that contractor, Aramark, UPS, they pass you over because you didn't have the right, you didn't have any insurance or not the right insurance. Company B had that liability, they had that workers' comp, they had that commercial auto, so they went with company B. Yeah, so we are at the end here. This is my QR code, my business card.